Hello all, this is the second and final video on Stage 23 stuff, and today I am going to be talking about Sonic fan games that came out for the Expo. I was really excited for some of these games that I am going to be talking about in this video. Just a heads up, though I may love Sonic, but I didn't play every single Sonic fan game that was shown in the Stage 23 trailer, because Sonic is in the name Stage, and you bet that there was so many Sonic fan games on that list. So I just picked the ones that looked the most interesting to me, and decided to cover those, and for a heads up, I am not going to be talking about the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, since by all accounts it's a fan game, but it came out in April. But I do recommend that people play it since it's an interesting genre to put Sonic into. It has amazing character modes that I think any fan of Sonic would love. So I'm going to link this Steam page in the description below. With that being said, let's start with our first game. Sonic and Blaze. Sonic and Blaze was one of the most anticipated fan games for me this year, because I said it in my Sonic Dimensions video, that the Sonic Advance graphics are something I really love, since it tries to replicate the Yuji Iwakawa art style, and the Yuji Iwakawa art style is something I am a sucker for, since I love that art style way too much, and I replicated it for my avatar. This is the game that is also trying to mix the Sonic Advance games with the Sonic Rush games, but also throwing some things from the Sonic Unleashed games as well, with the bad first time experience as well. One thing I will say is that this game is keyboard only, and I don't know where to find the controls for this game, so the only controls I know are the arrow keys to move, the spacebar to jump and homing attack, and that the X key is the boost button, but in the overworld, the Z key is for switching the characters. The music is mostly reused from other Sonic games like Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Heroes. Now, what I can say is that while I do think that if the 2D boost game should be in widescreen for better visibility, I do think that the motion blur in this game can be a little hard to tell what is going to be in front of you. There is also the fact that you are going so fast that sometimes it will just fly past you in a second. I think that this game needs to slow down a bit and not go as fast as it is in the demo. I also noticed that in one of the stages that the camera just zooms in, and it caught me off guard because a few seconds later it would go back to the camera position it was normally in, so that was something. There's also the fact that some levels in this game want you to stomp, and of course I can't really tell what is the stomp key, so you know. Sonic controls as he always does in the 2D boost games like Sonic Colors DS. Blaze is also in this game, and she controls the same as Sonic, so she was in Sonic Rush Adventure. Though I think she is the same speed as Sonic in this game, which is not the same thing as in the Rush games, and she also has the homing attack, which makes the decision between Sonic and Blaze kind of pointless, since Blaze in this game is just actually better than Sonic in every way, because she has the hover. There is a ranking system in this game, and it reminds me more of the Sonic Unleashed ranking system, as it calculates your speed in that game, while also having the strict S ranks that Sonic Unleashed is known for. Trust me, I should know. Overall, while there is a good foundation for this game, I think that there are some things that are holding it back from being one I want to enjoy. Though this might be someone's favorite Sonic fan game, so who knows. I will say that this is worth a look through. Final Fantasy Sonic X Unofficial Reimagining. Is this a Kingdom Hearts title? This is one that piqued my interest because I remember playing/watching the Final Fantasy Sonic X religiously alongside Super Mario Bros. Z. God, I feel old. So I played it for the video. So what do I think of it? So this is a demo that shows a proof of concept for what the game could be. This is an RPG, and the battles are the biggest thing in this game. So this game's combat seems to be trying to do what Final Fantasy 13 did with its gauge and how it works, where you have to wait till your gauge is filled all the way before you can do anything. But unlike Final Fantasy 13, where you click auto attack for it to fill your gauge, each attack you choose uses a piece of the gauge, and you can use it 3 times before it has to be filled again. In the battles, you have to also move around to avoid moves that the opponent will send to you. Your characters in this demo are Sonic and X. Sonic has more moves, his spin dash and a combo move, but in terms of damage, they are as overpowered as X's Buster Shots. That's really all I have to say on this game, since there really isn't much to this demo. It's a good proof of concept, and I wonder where this project's gonna go, and that's really about it. Project 32X. This game looks like it is trying to replicate the graphical style of games like Sonic Schoolhouse, which is something that is probably nostalgic for someone out there, and one of those people is not me. Do I look like a 90s kid to you? Now, the level design for Project 32X is pretty straightforward, with it just being basically hallways of platforms to walk and jump through, with the occasional enemy when you are walking toward the screen. It can't be hard to look if there is a gap, but there are arrows to indicate whether or not there is a gap right there or not. My biggest problem with this game is the controls. Sonic, when he is on the ground, his movement is a bit more stiff, which I think works better for a game like this. The jumping without a running start is also a bit more stiff, but I think it's better that way. The problem is when you gain speed. When you have speed and you are jumping, the air basically has ice physics, and it is almost impossible to have precise pinpoint accuracy like you did before you had a running start. The spin dash is next to useless in this game since you have so much speed and it goes on for a bit with barely any effect when going up or downhill. And the double jump when it works can be useful, but it has to work. Overall, this is one where it has promise, but if the controls are fixed, I would say this is worth a download, but right now, it's fine. The Dash Engine 1.3. This game so far only has the test stage, though there isn't much to talk about with this one, so I'll say all I can on this. This game feels like it's trying to replicate that Unleashed style of gameplay, but with some quality of life improvements that weren't on Sonic Unleashed, like the A button being the homing attack. The game also has momentum, which is something that I think isn't a big deal in games where the boost formula is the gameplay style, but I'm not complaining. The wisps are in this game, and there are some interesting things with the ones I tested, like the cube wisp lets Sonic change the blue rings into cubes, but to do that you stump to do it instead of clicking the wisp activate button like in Sonic Colors or Sonic Forces. Not much I could say other than I wish the camera would follow you while you are airborne, since it's really annoying in certain areas like using the hover wisp or when you are battling enemies, but this is a fun demo and I think it is worth a check out. Sonic Astral Engine Gaia. This, just like with the Dash Engine, is also one that is just a test stage and nothing else, so this will also be one where I won't have much to talk about. This game is trying to be like a Sonic Rush game, and I think that this demo has a good foundation to build on. This is a lot like Sonic and Blaze, but with controller controls, so I find this much easier to control than Sonic and Blaze. Though the problem with this demo is two things. The first thing, like with Sonic and Blaze, is that the game goes so fast that I can barely see what is coming up ahead, leading to me playing it again to see what other paths there were in the test stage. The other thing is that the test stage has the room where you do nothing but fight robots that was in Sonic Rush. I don't like these rooms because it just amounts to boosting back and forth, and it's just a pace breaker in a game that is trying to be like Rush, where it's nothing but speed. Like I said, there wasn't much to say on this game, but I think with a few fixes it can be a great game. Definitely worth a download if I say so. Sonic Encore. I played the previous build of this game, but don't remember much aside from it being the fact that I really wasn't liking the bosses. So this will basically feel like the first time I played this game. Sonic Encore reminds me a lot of Sonic GT, a fan game I really love. The characters control really well in this game, not too stiff or not too slippery, which is something that I really like in a good Sonic fan game. Sonic has a basic moveset, homing attack, spin dash, bounce attack, but he also has the ability to use the drop dash, which can be really useful in gaining speed when falling down. Ray has the ability to glide while he is airborne. Mighty can do a budget version of the drop dash, but instead of focusing on the speed, it focuses on going down as fast as possible. Tails has the ability to fly, which can be really fun. Knuckles can glide across stages, Shadow has a Chaos Blast ability, and Blaze can hover for a little while. These extra characters give the game more replayability, which is something I always encourage in a Sonic game. The levels of Sonic Encore are very reminiscent of the best levels in Sonic Adventure, where it has a beginning and an end, but there are so many open branching paths that you can take that allow you to get as much out of the levels that you play as. This is also helped by the fact that there are different characters to play as in this game, that makes each time you go through these levels different enough and gives the game more replay value. The only problem I can think at the top of my head is that the game does take a bit to load, when other games that use the Unity engine have pretty good loading times like Sonic P06. The game had screen tearing on my end, and I don't know how that is happening, and the bosses were not really all that fun to fight since there was a simple pattern to break them in half. But this game was really fun, and it's probably one of my new favorite Sonic fan games. I'd say check it out if you're interested if you played Sonic GT. It's a fun time. Sonic Colors Demastered. This game is trying to reimagine both Sonic Colors on the Wii and on the DS. So why is it called Sonic Demastered then, and not just called Sonic Recolor? Just something I noticed. So how was the game? This game is a lot like Sonic Colors on the DS, where unlike in Rush, where you need to just defeat enemies to gain boost energy, in Colors Demastered, you need to grab the white wisp, which can be in capsules, and after unlocking them, will be in the badniks as well. So it's the same as the Rush games. I will warn you that this game only allows D-pad, so if you can, use a PlayStation 4 controller. That's what I did for this game. The level design is also something to take notice of with this game. The biggest problem with both of the official colors is that they had moments that were pace breaking, either with a section of the level or it was the level. But in Colors Demastered, there was only one section that was pace breaking and it lasted about 30 seconds. There's also the fact that, like with the other Rush fan games, is that you go by so quickly you just aren't able to react to what's ahead of you in time. There are also the wisps in this game. Well, there's three. Actually, there is the cyan laser wisps that is the same as in the DS colors, where you can point a direction and release to go fast. The orange rocket, which is also the same as in colors DS, where you activate and go high in the sky, where it then puts you into a skydiving position to go down safely. The cube wisp is one that is more different than any of the other wisps in this demo, where once you click the Y button, you change the rings into cubes and vice versa. I will say that I don't like it when the game freezes for a bit when you click it. I think it would have been better if it was spontaneous when you click it, and that's really about it. Overall, I have fun with Sonic Colors Demastered. I want to say it is worth a check out. Sonic Unleashed Plus. This demo is trying to remake Sonic Unleashed in the Dash engine, so for this one I'm gonna judge it on how well it replicates Unleashed's level design and how it feels. So this game has some weird things with the controls, so there are some improvements over the original Unleashed. The homing attack is on the A button instead of being on the same button as the boost. The lightspeed dash isn't as finicky as it was in the original, and the movement when not boosting isn't as slippery as it was in the original game. But I can't say I was having that great of a time because of a few things. The first thing is that the camera sensitivity is too high, making it zoom all over the place if you touch the camera stick just 1 centimeter. The game was loading in while I was playing it, and I made sure that my settings met the tech I had in my spider killing box. And the biggest one is that as random moments, my boost would just stop working, and I would die when it wasn't my fault when my boost gauge still had boost in it left. At least the S ranks for the DLC stage for Abatos was not as hair pulling as it was in the OG. And like I said, trust me, I should know. But honestly, for an Unleashed remake, it has some things that need to be ironed out before it can be done. But if you have a powerful enough PC, maybe you would like this. Sonic Horizons. This game was the one I was the most excited for when watching the Sage 23 trailer, since open world Sonic is something I think has a lot of potential. So was my hype justified? Let's find out. Sonic Horizons starts off with Sonic waking up in the middle of nowhere, and then you are just straight up starting the game. There's one other cutscene where it tells you to grab these crystals, but that's about it. I will say that the cutscene animation is really good, and I like the voice that Sonic has in this game.
You don't see stuff like this every day. Huh? What's this? This must be its power core. Maybe I can find more of these around the area.
Now, I noticed that the overworld part of the game ran at around 30 FPS on my end, and the stages run at a perfect 60 FPS. I don't know if it's something with the engine the game is running on, or if it's an optimization thing on my end, but it didn't really bother me. I'm not really a frame rate snob. Like, I played Final Fantasy 16 at 30 FPS for the entire game. That should tell you something. But I know it will bother someone, so I thought to mention it. Now, the controls are something that I am a bit mixed on. The game is an open world game, where you grab items and do certain tasks like in any other open world game. Now Sonic in this game has his typical moves, but he doesn't have the boost in this game, unlike in Sonic Frontiers. But instead he has a charged spin dash, kind of like classic Sonic Spin Dash in Sonic Generations, where if you hold the button and you go so fast, and if you mash it, you can go even faster. There's also this move called a wall dash, where if you click one of the shoulder buttons that corresponds with the side of the wall you want to attach, you can run across it, and it leads to some interesting puzzles in this demo. I think my biggest problem with the controls is that air movement is really slippery, and it makes position a little harder. So I had to use the stop more than I would like to have said, if I am being honest with myself. There are things to do in the overworld of this game. There are mini puzzles, which are basically get this power shard by doing a platforming challenge, and there are your typical challenges that you'd find anywhere else. There are also race challenges where you are under a time limit, but the challenge isn't the time, is that you need to be at a certain speed to pass the challenge. I was stuck at this first one for a while until I got it, and it felt satisfying to complete. Same with the other challenges in this game. There are also 2 stages in this game that are trying to be like the cyber stages in Sonic Frontiers. Now, one thing I will say is that these stages are better than cyber stages in Frontiers because of 2 main reasons. The first reason is that the controls in the stages are the same as the controls in the overworld, which means that it's fun to traverse, and the second reason is that getting the A rank is going to take more than 1 try to get. But it's something that I think makes Sonic, Sonic. I was surprised that I really liked this one. Sure, it isn't perfect, but not everything needs to be perfect for me to call it something I enjoyed. This is a project I will also be keeping tabs on in the future. Overall, the fan games I played here today are flawed, but have lots of potential. I think that they are at least worth a try. If you are interested in any of these fan games I talked about today, I have put links in the description so you can download these games. Well, that's it for Stage 23 content. I think that this is an interesting little side deviation to do, and I was able to finish these videos ahead of schedule, and left me to do things that would have prevented me from working on content like the game Sea of Stars, which is amazing and y'all should play it. I typically will be doing Sage videos further in this YouTube thing, since I really respect the hustle of fan games, and each one is interesting to talk about whether I like it or not. So that'll be it for today, and I hope you have a nice day.